Hey, friends. Thanks for joining us on the Invigorate podcast. I'm co host Karen Wagner with Chris Burton, the baddest chaplain. Chris, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Karen. This is always such a joy to be here with you, be here with all of our friends here at Invigorate. Today, we're going to be discussing the power of routines and habits when you're living with autoimmune disease. I'm so excited to talk about habits with you, Karen. Let's just jump in. I cannot wait.
This is one of my favorite topics. I truly geek out about this, but I would say I didn't start paying attention to this until a few years ago
Yeah,
when I really went through a tough health period for a few
right.
months.
Hmm.
At that time, I was looking at everything, trying to figure out what I could do to better my situation. And we've talked about the spoon theory before,
For
where
sure.
you only have so many spoons in a day, and you got to make sure that you are kind of structuring your day to maximize your spoons.
Right.
But when I started reading about kind of habit hacks and more of time management, I realized like, okay, you can really optimize your routines in life to really maximize your spoons. So when I
Mhm.
started to restructure my day, I found that I could get so much more out of my day based on the time of day and energy. It's a fascinating topic.
Absolutely. And I love that you talk about it in terms of you didn't start paying attention to it until, you found yourself needing to pay attention to it. 'Cause I think that's so real. When we talk about these sorts of life altering big time changes, it's not until you absolutely have to where you really take it seriously. Like you could have been exposed to this information years prior and you're like, oh, that sounds great, but I don't have time to do all that. But once you get into a crisis, it's like, oh, I better make time for it. Like this is the only thing I have time for. So I love that you talk about that because it reminds me of how crisis really can help catalyze a lot of the big decisions we make in life.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny, I've talked about my climbing the corporate ladder days.
Right.
And I've always been a big reader and into personal growth. So I would read time management and
Uh huh.
professional development books then. And I was like, okay, yeah, it meant something then. And yeah, how am I going to be more productive
For
today?
sure.
Yada,
For
yada,
sure.
yada. But then now when I look at it in terms of, no, this is my life. Like I
Mm.
need to be intentional with how I'm spending my time. It's just a much deeper lens than what I had previously.
That's entirely it. That's entirely it. Yeah, because it's really not just a matter of just wanting to like brush up on something or just like perfect your craft when it's that professional development lens, but it's like really trying to optimize your life and really drastically improve and raise the quality of your own life and circumstances. And there's a real message in there about what it means for us to invest in our lives, not just investing in our career or investing in some sort of trajectory, but really taking care of your life and how you live. It's important.
For sure. Chris, have you always been intentional about your days and your routines?
Oh, I wish that was the case. I
Oh,
wish I wish that was the case. I think, and I may have said this before on Invigorate, but I really feel like pre-lupus, I was all gas, no brakes. Like I just lived with my foot firmly on the pedal and just was running all the time. And that's the pace I enjoyed. I still like to keep a good pace. I don't like to do a few things. I think I work best when different projects are feeding off of each other. But in that now, definitely thinking about the ways that I've had to really pay attention and be focused in on how my body is reacting to it. So, in the before times, if you want to say like BL, before lupus, I would view fatigue as something that had to be overcome, right? So if we're tired, but the task isn't done, it's like, shake it off. We got to pull an all nighter, go get some coffee, go get some soda, whatever you need, some sugar, keep yourself awake, right? Versus now, understanding a sense of, oh, if I am tired, I need to go to sleep and I can wake up early and continue this. but there's no point in me trying to stay up late. I used to be a night person. I very much am not a night person anymore, but I love early mornings. So I just have paid attention to when I can work best and when I just feel like my best self, which is early in the morning. So I'd much rather go to bed. I'll put it this way: I'd much rather wake up at 4 than stay up until 4. Like that's where I find myself. So really, making sure that you're taking care of yourself, and not really. I'm not a huge like I try to have like a planner. I try to have all these different things. I think the devices help do a lot of that for me. Like let me know where I'm supposed to be at a particular time. But I definitely think about it in terms of the pacing of things. So even if I'm not meticulously planning every week out, I do have a good sense of like, oh no, this is too many things for this time period. Like, oh, I need to move something over. I need to delay that timeline because otherwise it's just exhausting yourself needlessly. You know?
Yeah. I think of it as a Tetris game. Like I
Yeah,
have,
yeah.
because I can't, I'm with you. I'm not super detailed where I don't want everything minute by minute, hour out by
Right.
hour planned out. But like I'll have blocks of time for work, exercise, family time, but
Hmm.
social. But to your point, if those blocks are stacking up, I gotta move some out and just
Right.
paying attention to my body and my energy swings, it's like then you can get more in tune with how much you can take on and be more
Hmm.
productive at those.
Oh, no question. That's really it. It's really about understanding the difference between, just working hard just for the sake of working hard versus working smart, right? And just thinking about how when you work smart, you're being more productive than just saying, I'm going to make sure I just do all the things all the time. Because I'll even go so far to say this, Karen. I think a lot of that working hard rhetoric that we have, whether it's in, a corporate space or academic space or whatever the arena you find yourself in, a lot of that really is feeding the ego. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't think we can find ourselves. If you're climbing the corporate ladder, you're not that different than the person who's like trying to say to the other guy in the gym, "How much do you bench?" It's a very similar energy. It's not that different. You saying I worked this long on this project, or I brought in X number of dollars in this quarter is not that different than someone saying I bench 425. It's the same energy. It's the exact same energy.
It's a very true but painful analogy. But
Yeah,
I
right,
can
right.
say I've grown since then, right?
For sure, for sure. It's always room for growth. Always room.
Yeah. You brought up something that I want to circle back on. Um, Waking up early and now you find yourself you're more productive and focused in the morning.
Right.
In another life, if I was smarter, I would have been a neuroscientist.
Come on. Right, right, right.
But I've gotten really into learning about how the brain functions
For
and
sure.
how it affects our energy.
Right.
So I've learned a lot about the importance of sleep and deep rest.
Yes.
And after a good night's quality sleep, you wake up and your brain is primed.
Yes.
So they say that is the best time to work on your passion project or
Mm-hmm.
do whatever is that you want to do personally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, before the rest of the world wakes up and can interfere with it.
Right.
It's my favorite time. My absolute favorite time is when I can get up by like 5 and then I have a solid hour of writing with my cup of coffee before
Yes.
the household
Right.
blows up.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, blows up is appropriate for sure.
Yeah. But it really sets my day and it's like there's no better feeling than getting that done and it's like okay, I feel fulfilled and now I can go
Yeah.
do whatever else I need to do.
Exactly it. No, and it's so funny because I think about the way in which I had it so twisted and inverse for so long. Like I would treat the passion project, as you described it, almost like the day's dessert. Like once I
Yeah.
got through all the things I had to do and make sure I took care of everyone and everything else, the little bit of energy I had left, or even going back to spoons, borrowing tomorrow's spoons, I'd say, okay, now let me pay attention to the things I enjoy, which is such a terrible way to go about it. Because what I have found, living the way that you're describing, Karen, is that me taking care of the passion projects first, when I'm waking up early and I'm like, I'm reading or I'm writing or I'm working on a podcast, whatever just gets me going, making a playlist or something. Those those energize me, and they give me the energy to get through the laborious things, the things that I absolutely have to do and would not do if I did not have to, right? Like it helps me get through those things. And I think we really have to pay attention to the fact that one, we all have responsibilities, right? Responsibilities aren't going to go anywhere anytime soon. But two, how are you using your energy well? How are you mindful? How are you a good steward of your energy? Because if you're just pushing yourself only into the have to do's and not paying enough attention to the things you get to do, you're going to build up the kind of like resentment that kind of feels like, almost like a lactic acid that can build up in your muscles and cause your muscles to fatigue and hurt. It's the same sort of thing that is happening to your soul or to your creativity, to your like reason for being. And you're just dragging yourself through the week and living for the weekend. It's not a good way to exist,
If it's the dessert at the end of the day, and a lot of times it's like you crash before you even get there.
No
So
question.
making sure you're fulfilling yourself first thing, and then you set yourself up so much better for the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm. That's entirely it.
Yeah.
Entirely it.
One of my favorite habit hacks, I've
Okay.
gotten into these tricks as far as, but tacking on a habit that you really don't want to do, you have to do, like your responsibilities, as you mentioned, but then pair that with something that you absolutely love. And
Right, right.
I recommend doing the passion project first because then you feel good. And if you do the task or the thing you don't want to do and then do the passion project as the dessert, it's like the thing that you don't want to do is just dragging out because you're
Yeah,
just wanting to get to the fun part.
of
But
course.
when you flip them, you're fulfilled, you get the fun part out of the way. So when you get to the not fun one, it's like, okay, whatever, I'll just knock it out.
Yeah. And you find that it doesn't take as much time as you thought it would,
Yeah.
which is really amazing because as someone who was doing it entirely the wrong way for so long, I'm like, man, this takes forever. But once you flip it, you're like, oh, this is not as bad, So it's kind of like if you have like a dog and you want to like hide the medicine in the peanut butter or their favorite treat, it's kind of the same thing, like we're not that different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Habit stacking, like
Mm,
doing something you enjoy while you're doing something not as much fun. So
right, right.
listening to a podcast while I'm doing the dishes
Mm-hmm.
or whatever around the house. When I'm engaged mentally, it's like I'm not even paying attention to what I'm doing,
Oh, for sure, for
physically.
sure.
And then
Absolutely.
the time flies.
It does. And this is not something new, right? Like, cultures and people groups all around the world, so many have attached music to tasks, right? So there's so many different tasks, whether it's like, you're working in your field or you're working outside doing some sort of chores, you're washing clothing, whatever it is, there's so many cultures that have attached music to it because there's something about singing or just some sort of like secondary activity as you're describing it that allows time to not feel as long. Like it's amazing to me that 5 minutes of playing a video game or scrolling Instagram feels like nothing, but 5 minutes of reading like a textbook feels like forever. You know what I mean? Like it's just amazing to me how relative time can feel depending on the task we're accomplishing.
Mhm. And I love that you bring up music. It change your mood instantly.
Instantly. Yes, yes, absolutely. It's funny. Before I jumped on to do this podcast with you, I started listening to Andre 3000 from Outkast has a new album, and instead of rapping, he's just playing the flute the entire album, and just
Oh.
and it's gorgeous music and just so unexpected. Because I was like, I know him for rapping, but he's like just playing the flute, and it's just something about the way that sort of music, or any music that you really enjoy. I always feel like it hits you almost on like a cellular level, like if you're listening to really aggressive music in the gym, you can finish that extra set of weightlifting, you can finish that extra mile on the treadmill, whatever you're doing, in a way that, if you were listening to nothing, it might be a little more difficult. And there's something about, when you listen to someone play a woodwind instrument, for example, it just really calms you down. Like I feel so peaceful. It's like green tea for your ears or something. It's really nice.
For sure.
Yeah.
I've also recently discovered I'll play just music that is, they say it's for to help you focus, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna butcher the name, but I'll put the accurate one in the description. But it's like, I'm not even gonna try and
It's
say
like
it.
a
But
deep
it's,
work playlist or something. Is it called like a deep work playlist?
yeah, something very, very similar. I can't listen to music with words when I'm working.
I've heard a lot of people say that. Right.
Yeah, I'm too, it's too distracting to me.
Yeah, I get
But
you.
when I can play those instrumental music, they say
Yeah,
it actually helps you focus.
it does. It really does. I found, and my oldest son is named Coltrane, and so it's been like a running joke in our house that he has like a beef with John Coltrane. He's like, I'm Coltrane. I was like, I think he was Coltrane first, right? But just I do play a lot of jazz in the house when it's like they come home and it's like homework time, or I'm like, hey, drop everything and read time. Let's do that. School teachers, it stinks to have a former teacher as your dad, but it's another story for another time. But um, I'm playing the jazz for them, and they're like, "Oh, again." They're like, "Y'all are gonna see in a few decades when you have things to do, you're gonna be glad that you know about Miles Davis and all this great music I've been planting into your soul, man. So you're good. Don't worry about it."
That's wonderful. And we're the same way because, especially with kids and them trying to do homework and focus, sidebar, but I found that letting them stand at a desk or a table, back to adding music, getting them to engage in another way to help channel that energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because there's so much that we need in order to accomplish whatever task we have in mind, or in order to maintain good habits, about centering, right? Because that's part of the fight of like of maintaining um a pattern of good habits, is that there's so many distractions, there's so many potential disruptors. And some of those things can also mask themselves as other good habits, right? So it could be something where you're trying to finish this book that you want to read for your book club, but you're looking at that sink full of dishes, and, oh, I need to wash those dishes. So thinking about how you wanting to come home immediately after work, and maybe you want to read a chapter of a book to unwind, could be interrupted by, oh, I do need to take out the garbage, I do need to change the cat's litter box, or whatever else is in the way. So thinking about how do you sort of organize all of those good habits so that they don't interrupt or even compete with each other. Yeah.
How do you do that? Do you have a strategy?
I think the main way to do that is to really just make the main thing, right? So if you're gonna take care of a big task like that, to me, I think it's wise to sort of knock out the small tasks first, because it could be something where, like, you build up a momentum to now, like, you're almost like a video game. You sort of take care of the little bosses before you face the big boss, before you have to face Bowser and Mario or whatever. So you want to knock out the small tasks first so that you don't have any distractions when you're focusing on that big task. But even with that strategy, especially for folks in the autoimmune community, we have to be mindful of our fatigue levels, right? So if you're wearing yourself out because you did 8 different tasks and you let your procrastination jump in, and now you're like, let's add on 7 more tasks. So you knocked out 15 things. Are you now too exhausted to do the thing you wanted to do in the first place, or you had to do in the first place? So it's really understanding. I think that's where, even though I'm not that great at it, I'll confess that I do think having a sense of, especially like on a Sunday evening, what your week looks like can really help, so that you understand, oh, on Thursday, I'll share this. Like I think about this with me and working out. I there are some days where I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to go to the gym after work on Thursday because I will have these three meetings. So let me make sure that I go to the gym before the workday starts. Let me make sure I work out. Maybe I do some calisthenics in my house because I know I can't actually set aside an hour Thursday evening because I have these commitments. So just really jumping ahead of the potential chaos and the potential disruptors, you know?
Planning out your week and your day is vital. They say you
Yeah.
do what you plan. We can say
Yes.
we're going to do X, Y, and Z all day long, but if you don't come up with a plan of when and how and where you're going to do it, it's just not going to happen. Or looking ahead, making sure that I'm balancing out my workload to match what I know that I can handle. And throughout the week, reassessing based on how I'm feeling or doing that day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because right, and I like that because I think that builds in a level of flexibility into the
Yeah.
schedule. I feel like a good principle for your schedule and for how you live your life is to never be too rigid, right? If you treat yourself like a bridge that has room to sway, you'll survive it. But if you're too rigid and you're still a bridge, you'll crack and the bridge will fall apart. So you don't want to be too rigid in your scheduling. You want to be kind to yourself and anticipate, you know what? I had the best of intentions, but maybe Tuesday's an exhausted day. Some unanticipated thing came in and bowled me over. I had to knock things out of the way. How do I adjust? You know, so even thinking about it as if you were a coach and trying to coach yourself during an athletic event, what adjustments are you making mid game? Right, it can't just be something where you're so committed to what the plan was at the beginning that you're not adjusting to what's happening in real time.
One of our community members compared it to a pendulum where it's
Yeah,
swinging back and forth.
love that.
The more you can flex, the better chance you have at maximizing the energy that you have.
No doubt about it.
Chris, do you have anything that you have to do on a daily basis to set you up for a good day?
Oh yeah, I love this question. I always say that my ideal day starts with me reading for about 30 minutes to an hour. Like I'm a big believer. Like I read my Bible first thing in the morning. I like to pray, think about all the folks that I know, or like in conversation. I'm like, hey, so what's going on with you? And if they're like, oh, my leg hurts, I try to remember that in my prayer time. And after that, I like to work out in the morning. And then I make my little smoothie. Sometimes I make a bagel with that smoothie. Most days I have the bagel with the smoothie because you gotta enjoy your life. And then right? You gotta enjoy your life. And then after that, I like to listen to a bunch of podcasts that are either talking about world events. I used to start with the news. I feel like that's like a super heavy way to start the day. But I like
Yeah.
kind of start with like something fun like sports and then ease into the news and kind of have that going and then listen to like some books on tape. So just really thinking about all the ways, suffice it to say, I'm a big proponent in keeping yourself full almost to the point of like spilling, like living in a kind of abundance, so that no matter what comes up or who needs me that day, I have something for them. Like I don't want to try to give from an empty cup, or I don't want to be like that little kettle that's boiling, but there's barely any water in it, so you're just really burning. You're not boiling. That's how I think about it.
Yeah. The morning routine sets you up for your day. I have found that when I take that time, sometimes it's 10, 15 minutes. Other days it's 5,
Yeah, right,
whatever.
right.
But when I take those few minutes, who I want
Mm,
to be that day,
mm.
how do I want to show up for the people I love and interact with, setting those intentions, it doesn't matter what comes up or what I get done. I know that I am behaving or living, trying to live in a way that is supporting those around me.
Right, right, right. I love that. I love that because it's really an important part of it is understanding that your good habits aren't just for you, right? Like you're not just filling up and just doing all these things. It's not just purely self-help. It's understanding that, our responsibilities are connected to other people and we live in a society. So what would it look like? And to me, it's really this whole conversation of habits is really about society transformation. If everyone had the latitude, the space, the resources to say, "I'm going to do what I can in the morning to start my day well," even if you're not a morning person, even if your understanding of morning is like before noon, that's cool. Do you, right? But you know what I mean? Like not everyone's gonna get up at 4. I get it. Like maybe you going to bed at 4. I hear you, right? But what would it look like for you to start your day filling up on whatever you needed, positive, you know? Karen, I remember when I lived in New York, some mornings I'd be walking toward the train station, and I remember one morning just seeing, it probably happened many times, but just one particular time, this person just screaming on the phone at like 6:30 in the morning. And I would just think to myself, was that last night's problem or today's problem? Like, like what, like when did this kind of anger start? And just thinking about the ways that we start our day, we have to start our day with the way we intend to finish our day, right? We can't just start our day angry. And even going back to the music thing, like, what are you listening to that's filling you up? What are you watching that's filling you up? What are you consuming that's filling you up? All of these ways that we're mindful, so we're taking care of ourselves. So it's not just, I'm needlessly aggressive or I'm needlessly just down and thinking that nothing's going to work out well. Like, what are you feeding yourself so that you can do what you can, so if someone needs you, you're able to help them, and when you need you're able to help yourself. Like all of these things are important.
Yeah, because when you start out with those negative emotions, you're clawing your
Oh,
way out.
no question.
Whereas if you start out with that fullness, like then you're prepared to give to others and
Yeah, yeah,
yourself.
100%, 100.
A lot of times we with our to-do, I can't take another 10, 15 minutes or half hour to read or whatever. I don't
Right,
have
right.
time for that. It's all about intentions. And if you start out with that, you're going to have more time throughout the day later on.
No
You'll
question.
have more energy.
That's really the truth. That's really the truth. Yeah, it's how you're taking care of yourself really dictates how you live.
Hmm. One thing people are like, okay, where do I start?
Sure.
I take a look around your space. Like, is it cluttered? If it's
Hmm.
cluttered, it's probably stressing you out, whether you realize it or not.
Seriously.
Do you have uplifting photos? I I read that there was this fun study where people, if they looked at a winning athlete doing anything, getting a medal, winning a race, winning a game, they looked at a picture of that before they took a test, did anything, they
Yeah,
performed better
yeah.
in
Makes
every
sense.
aspect. Just from seeing something positive, then
Right.
they went and performed better. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
They were
Our
inspired.
minds are crazy.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's that is amazing though. Like, because when you said this, Karen, it makes me think about like my first apartment. I had no pictures up. The walls were the same, like standard white walls that came with the apartment. It looked like I was ready to move in or move out. You couldn't really tell. And just thinking about what it means to really just like beautify a space and yeah, just taking up a pile of clothes. If you're someone who has to work from home, for example, it can help clear your space, keeping your desk clear. Like my desk right now, it looks like a disaster. I can get federal funding for my desk right now. It's so bad. But you know, I say to myself, when I clear this desk, I'm gonna be so happy when I just put these things wherever they're supposed to be, which may be the garbage can at this point. Who knows, right? But once I do that, it's gonna make me feel so much better. So I love those suggestions.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, like, my desk is not spotless right now.
Yeah, yeah.
But it goes back to priorities, and you say,
Yes.
"When I clean this," it's not like, "Oh, I have to clean this. This is dirty
Right.
right now." It's like, when I get to this, when it's a priority, it's not a priority right now because I'm podcasting.
Right. Right.
You guys don't want to watch me clean my desk.
No, no, that's not. But you know what? There's an audience for it, probably. You know, as I say, there's somebody, on TikTok or somewhere just shredding paper, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is great! I can't wait to watch it." When, was it next Friday they drop the shredding paper episode? I can't wait. You know, something for everyone.
Are you subscribed?
I'm not subscribed. I'm not, but I'm sure there's an audience though. I'm sure there is.
Have you found, so environment is big for me,
Yeah,
especially with nutrition. Like I just can't keep
yeah.
any stuff in the house, whatever. If it's
No,
not in
no,
the
I'm with
house,
you.
I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I get you.
But have you had, do you have any tricks or anything that you found have helped you kind of change any of your habits?
One thing, thinking about environment, I've made the habit now because this has been a particularly like full season. I don't want to just call it busy because I see that has like a negative connotation, but it's been a full
Yeah.
season. The routine of while I'm at work and I have a little downtime, I'll go on like Instacart and just like order groceries that I can pick up later. So all I have
Yeah.
to do when I go to the supermarket, I just go and they have it in the bag. So I pick it up and I say thank you and I go back home. There's something about that years ago I would have felt like, oh no, if I go to the supermarket, that's like 3 hours I'm being in the supermarket. Like it's just my thinking, and it's helped to just like clear this essential everyone's got to eat mentality. And I don't want to, especially thinking about health, I don't want to just be in that panic of it's 5 o'clock and everyone's looking like what are we gonna have for dinner. And we're just like, okay, let's just order something. I don't. That's not a sustainable thing because to me, when you prepare food, you're also able to dictate what goes into the food. So even if you're like, oh, I'm going to order like a healthy thing, you're not controlling how much like salt they're using or what kind of oil they use to prepare the food or whatever it is. So when you're home, you can do that. And I found that cooking also relaxes me, so I don't mind doing that. So that's one little aspect of life that is not only a time saver, but it's actually something that spills into the other goals that I have in life of like eating healthier, making sure I'm more present with my kids. So it's not like when my kids come home, I have to say, oh, no, I have to go to the supermarket. I'll see you at bedtime. Like we're present. So just thinking about how one good habit can spill into other areas of your life.
Yeah. Similarly, I discovered Misfits Market, or
Yeah.
they teamed up with Imperfect Foods.
Yes, yes.
So we get weekly deliveries of fresh, high quality produce, and they've expanded to groceries too. And it's a good way for us. You mentioned smoothies in the morning. Our
Yeah.
family is big on smoothies. My kids love them. They're throwing all this stuff in and then trying the different flavors, and then it's part of your family experience versus another thing I need to do for the week.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. Because and really, and that's the thing. It's like it allows, you know, your kids to be a part of your good habits. To me, I think about children almost like, you know, you ever walk on a piece of sidewalk that has like initials carved into it or something like that? Like
Yeah.
that's where our children are. Like where the cement is still wet. So you want to make sure that you're putting good things into the mix. And I think about when they see you modeling good habits, what does that teach them, right? When they see you starting, even with them enjoying a smoothie, that's gonna be a core memory that, when they are living independently, like, you know what I liked as a kid? I liked smoothies. Let me try that out. Like so our good habits they give off dividends, and they're really worthwhile investments, not just in our future but also in the lives of those who look up to us and are around us and depend on us.
They really are walking mini me's. Like
Yeah, yeah, I believe it.
they mirror your actions.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And then when they look like you, it's kind of scary sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's like a time machine or something, you know.
So-
Yeah, here we go, here we go.
Shoot, I created that.
That's it. That's it. Helps you understand your flaws a little bit better. Like, oh yeah, I do that too. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. But I think the bigger point about in making those core memories and us just talking about our routines and
Mhm.
habits, it has to be who you are. It can't be something I have to do. If you hate working out or you hate
Right,
running, don't
right.
run. If you hate swimming, don't swim, and just keep trying stuff until you find something that you
Yeah,
do like.
exactly. I love that advice because there absolutely is something out there for you. And I feel like people end up having so much self-loathing because they're trying to play tennis or something and they're just like not good at tennis and then they're like, I'm just not good. But no, there's something else that you may be amazing at golf. You may be amazing at even bowling, even though it doesn't feel like, you're burning that much calories or something like that. It's still you're out there and you're active and it could be something that where it's social, you develop friendships that help, you know, with your routine as well. Like if you're in a bowling group that meets on like Wednesday nights or something, that could be something you look forward to, and it helps the quality of your life. I'm not against that, you know.
And there's more and more research coming out about the benefits of light activities. Like you can do your intense workouts great, but
Right,
if you're sitting 13, 16 hours a day, it's going to negate the benefits of that
that's
workout.
the truth.
So anything you can do, walking, bowling, pickleball's huge,
Pickleball's
whatever.
huge, huge.
It's just you got to get out and move as much as you can, and that'll just help both your psyche and your physical health.
That's the truth. And I'll tell you this, Karen. I was just speaking to a great friend of mine about how, with my moderate workouts, I'm not thinking about me at my age now of 36. I'm thinking about future me at 86. Like how are they going to be able to move? And I sort of try to move with the like 86-year-old version of me in mind. Like what are the activities I can participate in now that I'll be able to keep up for 50 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so sweet, you an 86-year-old.
So still podcasting, or like my
Yeah.
hologram podcast somewhere. Yeah.
I'll be up for that. By that point, there'll be
Oh,
no
100%.
filter. I want to hear
Oh
all
yeah,
of it.
it's all coming. 86, unhinged,
Permission to say whatever you want.
whatever you want. Exactly it. No doubt.
Cool. Chris, any other things that you can think of that have really helped you? Other than that, I think the biggest thing is making it a part of who
Yeah,
you are and how you live. It can't
yeah.
be an extra thing.
I will say one more thing in it is that I think there's a bit of a perfectionist window with habits that we have to sort of forgive ourselves for. So you may say, and there's so many apps now that keep streaks. Like if you like you're, let's say you're someone who is entering the food you've eaten, and it's like, oh, you've done this for 6 days in a row, good job, right? It's like an incentive to keep going. um but if you skip a day, or you forgot, or whatever the reason is that interrupts your habit, I really want to encourage everyone not to just beat themselves up, not to just feel like they're the worst and now they have to like just start all over again. Yes, the number is going to go back down to zero and it's going to go to one and climb from there. But just forgive yourself and keep going, right? If you were like, I'm going to go to the gym every other day, and then life happens for whatever reason, and you interrupt that routine, don't trip off of it. Just say, okay, when's the next time I can go? And commit yourself to doing that. It's almost like that same advice that no one probably pays attention to too much, but you should, where it says on your medicine, if you skip a dose, don't try to like double up and like overdose, God forbid, on the medicine. Just take the next dose when you can and keep it going. And I think so many times we get so we seek and chase after perfection in our lives in this way that can be unhealthy. It's not just excellence, it's like a unrealistic goal. And rather than doing that, be kind to yourself. And I think that's really where I want to leave it. It's just like in all of these things, in your habit forming, the best habit you can have is a everlasting kindness to yourself that will spill out in kindness to other people.
I'm so thankful you brought this up because I feel like this is the most important part of the episode, and I can't believe we almost didn't touch on it. That two things. The 1% rule, like it's not an all or nothing. Just
Right,
do one thing better, 1% better each time. And there's going to be times where you slip up. It just is a fact of life. I like to say if I'm doing anything at 95%, I'm doing pretty good. Hey, if you slip up once, just don't let it happen twice. To your
right.
point, is figure out when you can get to it again and course correct. No big deal. We're so hard on ourselves sometimes, and it's easy to get down on it when you miss that. And that's one reason why I don't like trackers through apps and stuff, because I
Yeah,
feel too claustrophobic. It's like, it's too much time. I don't want to have to do it. But if
right.
I just focus on that 1%, I know if I'm headed in the right direction or not.
Mm-hmm. That's the truth. That's the truth. Yeah, just allowing yourself to do it at your pace and not feel like under the immense pressure of like I'm failing myself or I'm failing this app by not doing it. No, just get it done when you can and just live into like the I get to do this and not the I have to. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think it's important to reflect. I used to have the scarcity mentality of, oh, I didn't
Mhm.
get to all these things today.
Right.
But at the end of the day, taking a few minutes to, I like to journal and write out, okay, these are the things that I actually did get done and that I'm proud of that I
Yeah.
got done, and then forget about the rest, because it's about those priorities and being thankful that I was healthy enough and present enough that I was able to get that done.
Hmm. That's the truth. That's the truth. Yeah. Like I think we do ourselves a disservice when we're focusing on what we haven't done yet rather than what we've done and being able to celebrate each victory, particularly in this uh, particular journey, peculiar journey we find ourselves in. You have to celebrate consistently. Like, let celebration be a part of your routine because, you know, you and I know there were times where we couldn't do very simple tasks, whether even, something like this where we've been, able to podcast. And I think this is like episode 10. There was a
Yeah.
time in our life where just stamina wise, we wouldn't have been able to continue doing this. And so even this is just such a tremendous victory for us. So like, cheers to you, cheers to life, cheers to successes and many more. It can't just be something where we're like, oh, that's cool, but I want to do this bigger thing. No, no, no. Celebrate today because, it truly is a gift.
It really is. And if you would have told me 5 years ago that I was podcasting,
Right.
I would not have believed you.
Of course, of course, of course. Let life continue to surprise you.
Yeah. If you can take that time in the morning, set your intentions. And if you know at sunset at the end of the day, you're going to look back and what you have done for the day, you're going to try a lot harder, and it
Yeah.
helps motivate and inspire you to really step up and be the person that you want to be. This moment today is all we have.
Yeah.
You got to influence it the best you can and forget about the rest.
Well said. Well said. That's truly it. That's truly it.
I'm preaching to the choir.
I know, but it's listen, listen. The choir is clapping. You know,
Cool.
the choir is shouting back. Yeah.
All good vibes.
All good vibes for sure. For sure. That's it.
Well, this is a fun conversation, Chris. I love talking about this stuff.
Oh, likewise, likewise. And I think it's really important, and I hope folks, when you see stuff like this, conversation like this, like give us a shout. Let us know about your stories. Like I think let being able to tell us exactly the ways that not only this episode is helping you, but other ways that you would like to be helped. So don't hesitate if you're watching this or listening to this to share in the comments what's going on with you. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, the more we can share, the more we can help each other because we're all going through similar challenges with these autoimmune diseases.
That's
And it
true.
very much takes a team effort to navigate this because
Hmm.
it is complex and it's not easy.
No.
But like Chris said, it's very rewarding when you lean into it and are very intentional about it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Our personal growth resources and learn more about what Chris and I were talking about today, please go to invigorateyourjourney.com. There's a whole personal growth wellness pillar with resources and information that can get you information on any area that you're interested in. Until next time, like us, leave us a review, subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And thank you for joining us. And thank you, Chris.
Oh, thank you, Karen, and you all take care. Thank you all so much.